A safer Jamaica for all. That's one of the many priorities of government. And later on in the show, we hear from the police commissioner on crime-fighting plans for 2015.
Renewed emphasis will be placed on the guns for drugs trade.
Plus, a review of the initiatives that bore fruit in 2014 as we continue our Year in Review series. Hi there, I'm Theodore Henry, and we're so happy you've decided to spend some time with us on Jamaica Magazine. An informative and interesting package awaits you.
Tractor, a trailer driver, no overload. Truck overload destroys our roads. I want to say, check your speed, check your state, make sure you're not overweight. Take the time to make it safe, even if you're little late. Some of the road, they leany, sinky, twisty. Truck overload destroys our roads. So drive a heavy duty vehicle on the road or the bridge. Listen the message.
A message from the Island Traffic Authority and the National Road Maintenance Fund.
Good day, I'm Carrie-Ann Smith, and this is your JIS News for Friday, January 9. Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips is confident that Jamaica will pass the 7th IMF test, a review of the country's performance for the September to December quarter. Dr. Phillips says based on the government's assessment, all quantitative targets and structural benchmarks for the period were met.
Our success at completing these quarterly reviews is a testament to the commitment made by the government to reform the economic foundations of the country and to set sound foundations for growth.
Dr. Phillips is also confident that the Jamaican economy will record growth for the December 2014 and March 2015 quarters. In the meantime, the finance minister is reminding the nation that under the new fiscal rules, the budget will be tabled next month.
In February, we will be laying the estimates of expenditure, and for the first time, it is proposed to lay the estimates of expenditure and the revenue estimates at the same time. And we have to have, I hope, a sober, meaningful discussion about how we finance a budget.
Dr. Phillips was speaking at Wednesday's official opening of the Scotia Group Financial Centre in Montego Bay, St. James. And the finance minister has reiterated a commitment to give public sector workers a pay increase for the contract period beginning 2015. As the wage negotiations continue, Dr. Phillips is reminding stakeholders that under the economic reform program, the country is operating in a tight fiscal space where resources are limited.
And I have every hope and confidence that the same spirit that guided the earlier negotiations when wage restraint was accepted will be available to us as a country now as we seek to make up some of the lost ground, but recognizing that it is not possible to do everything.
Work on the Leela Robinson Court at the National Stadium Complex in St. Andrew is set to be completed soon. The minister with responsibility for sport says the refurbished court will boast a brand new surface and new stands that can seat about 2,000 patrons.
It was with great pride and pleasure that we were able as a government to do the improvement work which was required to refurbish the Leela Robinson Court.
Mrs. Nita Headley was speaking at Wednesday's launch of Netball Jamaica's Supreme Ventures series between England and the Sunshine Girls. The 3-test series, which kicks off this Saturday, will help both teams prepare for the Gold Rush Down Under campaign in August. Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller gave both teams her blessing.
I want to wish you good luck on the court here in Jamaica as you prepare for the World Cup in Australia. And I want to wish both teams good luck.
The registration deadline for students sitting the Grade 6 Achievement Test GSAT has been extended to Friday, January 16. The deadline was extended due to a number of factors, including the outbreak of the chikungunya virus, which disrupted schools across the island in late 2014. The Chief Education Officer adds that parents of eligible students must consult with their child's teacher and ensure that the required documentation is completed and submitted to the Education Ministry.
There is an age band, so for example for this year sitting 2015, students who fall between the age band of January 31, 2002 to December 31, 2004, which really it's actually three different years. So it means that parents can register the child once the child is over 10 years and 8 months.
GSAT will be administered on March 19 and 20 this year. Be sure to watch Jamaica magazine this Sunday to see the full interview with Dr. McLean on our Issues and Answers program. And finally, Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller has expressed sympathy to the government and people of France following Wednesday's attack on French news magazine Charlie Hebdo. In a condolence letter to the French president, the Prime Minister said Jamaica was saddened by the barbaric assault, which claimed many innocent lives. She also condemned the incident, adding that it was an attack on freedom of expression. She said Jamaica stood in solidarity with the French Republic during this difficult time. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Carrie Ann Smith. Thanks for watching.
Nicky baby, come here.
You understand, so I have to send you guy your auntie so you can go to school and turn out better than me.
When I go be night time.
Piggy, come finish your work.
If you or anyone you know has been a victim of human trafficking, call 811 or 1-888-PROTECT. Be wise. Open your eyes. Spot them. Stop them. A message brought to you by the National Task Force Against Trafficking in Persons.
Law enforcers were hard at work in 2014 to rid the country of criminal elements and create a safer Jamaica for all. Let's review some of the initiatives that led to a 16% reduction in serious and violent crimes.
Using the public health approach to tackle the epidemic of violence.
Greatest predictor of a case of flu might be coming into contact with somebody who is already infected with flu. Similarly, the greatest predictor of a case of violence is a previous case of violence.
And so in 2014, the National Security Ministry used a three-pronged approach to act on strategic priority number 3, security and justice. Under this first strategy, the security forces were given additional resources to improve their operational techniques and strengthen their crime-fighting plans. Those initiatives resulted in an overall 16% reduction in serious and violent crimes. More specifically, murders declined by 16%, shootings by 12%, rape by 23%, aggravated assault by 17%, and accusatory crimes by 10.5%. Police fatal shootings also declined by 54%, and there was a 19% reduction in the number of arrests. The reduction in major crimes was partly due to the increase in the number of police officers in the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, to almost 11,500, following the merger with the Island Special Constabulary Force in April.
But internally, we've done a lot in terms of preparing for training, additional training to close skill gap, for mentorship, for reassignment, attachment of persons to work with teams and more experienced officers so that their skill sets can come up to the level required so that they can eventually perform on their own.
Commissioner Ellington later retired in June, allowing Assistant Commissioner of Police Glenmore Hines to assume temporary responsibility for the police force until Dr. Carl McKay Williams was formally installed as the new police commissioner in September. In 2014, August to be exact, the police boosted their investigative capacity by merging the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Task Force with the JCF's Anti-Corruption Branch to create the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, MOCA. MOCA's Polygraph and Vetting Center was later opened in October.
We have additional suites. We have residential facilities, which will allow us to really evolve into regional center of excellence for training polygraphers from not just Jamaica, but from all over the region.
Government also announced plans in September to merge the Forensic Laboratory and the Legal Medicine Unit to form the Institute of Forensic Science. While those talks continue, the Forensic Laboratory received DNA kits and ballistics comparison microscopes from the United States Embassy in September. A partnership was also cemented with the Chilean government in October through the signing of a defense technical agreement to facilitate the exchange of operational and technical experiences between the armed forces of both countries.
The government firmly believes that this agreement will assist the JDF in increasing its operational effectiveness and its ability to secure Jamaica's borders.
The police also received 13 motorcycles and 2 jeeps, non-lethal weapons, and announced plans to start wearing body cameras to improve transparency. For the Firearm Licensing Authority, they relocated their offices to a more spacious environment at 91A Old Hope Road. On the legislative side of things, the Criminal Justice Suppression of Criminal Organizations Act, popularly called the Anti-Gang Bill, was passed in both houses of Parliament and later signed into law. Cabinet also approved amendments to the Firearms Act and the Gunpowder and Explosives Act to facilitate Jamaica's ratification of the United Nations Arms Trade Treaty. Amendments were also passed to the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Amendment Act. After developing strategies and putting the necessary infrastructure in place to interrupt the transmission of crime, in 2014 the National Security Ministry then turned its attention to preventing future spread of criminal activities. This was partly achieved through the rollout of the third phase of the Citizen Security and Justice Program and the second phase of the Community Empowerment and Transformation Project. And to deal with those individuals who have come in conflict with the law, the government, in collaboration with the UK Prison Estate Consultants, began working on a 5-year plan to transform the Department of Correctional Services.
A 5-year strategic plan to transform the correctional services with the principal objectives of strengthening the systems of rehabilitation, reducing reoffending, and complying with international human rights standards.
To complement those plans, Cabinet approved the construction of a new 304-bed dormitory at the Tamarind Farm Adult Correctional Centre in St. Catherine. The data system to facilitate the operation of the Sex Offenders Registry was also completed, and a Cabinet subcommittee was established to develop a strategic response to the treatment of persons in lockups and correctional facilities. Much emphasis was also placed on securing Jamaica's borders. The ministry announced an immediate travel ban in October against persons coming directly or indirectly from the 3 West African countries that are most affected by the Ebola outbreak.
It is important to understand that responding to an outbreak of a serious infectious disease, such as Ebola, does not only require the medical care component, but also requires a serious logistics capability.
The Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency also improved its service delivery through the use of automated immigration kiosks. The final approach by the Ministry of National Security to maintain law and order in 2014 involved the continuation of the Unite for Change initiative so that stakeholders could work together to identify and fix issues that lead to crime. Best practices were shared at the National Forum on Youth Violence Prevention in January, and there was a series of programs to restore positive relationships between residents. On top of that, more emphasis was placed on community policing through the opening of a police post in Lake Spence, St. Catherine in May.
We will go out, people in khaki will go out with the Red Seam Police at the local divisions and stations and go into town hall meetings. We're going to have to ensure that we go into the inner cities, the uptown communities.
The police also embarked on a mission to change the culture of the force to make it more civilian friendly while respecting the human rights of citizens.
Accompanying this shift will also be a reduction in the use of the paramilitary style uniform in favor of the more civilian style red seam or khaki uniform.
The Ministry of National Security working assiduously to cure the disease called crime, interrupting transmission and preventing it from spreading. And through the Unite for Change campaign, positive attitudes are being promoted so that all citizens can come together to create a safer Jamaica for all.
Encouraged as they are by last year's successes, the security forces have declared that they will not relent. Police Commissioner Dr. Carl Williams says the police will intensify efforts to dismantle gangs and further reduce crime this year. Just this week, he shared how they plan to keep arresting crime in 2015.
There is much to do in 2015, and we have an upsurge that has already claimed 24 victims. So I just want to assure the country that we are responding to this spate of killings, and we will do everything to get it under control. We have already deployed additional JCF resources to areas most severely affected, like Spanish Town and environs, and St. James, particularly Montego Bay. We are being fully supported by the JDF in this endeavor. We have good and credible intelligence on the identities of the killers in most instances, and our investigative machinery is already in high gear to apprehend, and we will use all our scientific techniques and our investigative cunning to ensure that we convict these perpetrators when we catch them. Renewed emphasis will be placed on the guns for drugs trade in order to cripple the arms race among the gangs and to reduce the number of guns that are available for use in violence.
It's a fallacy to believe that criminal gangs can protect communities. What they actually do is make the security of those communities that much worse. Because even if they are protecting that community, they are going to wrong other persons from other communities. And the common saying, if you can't catch Kwaku, you catch him short. Many persons, innocent victims, have been killed by criminal gangs only because they were related in some way, shape, or form to persons who are involved in gang activities.
We will increase our efforts at community policing. It is high time that the citizenry of this country work hand in hand with the police and become fully involved in the efforts to make Jamaica safer.
And be sure to watch Jamaica Magazine every day on this station for more on the initiatives being undertaken by the police to create a safer Jamaica for all.
Our land has been suffering from immorality. The crime, the drugs, the bloodshed have only brought more sorrow.
We must change and give our children a brighter tomorrow. Let's renew our pledge to God as we work to heal our land and fellow man.
Let's join hands across Jamaica
for righteousness.
Let's join hands
across Jamaica
for righteousness.
Eternal Father,
Bless this Jamaica land. Let's join hands and hearts together and make Jamaica a land of love.
This is the age of scamming. So you have scammers everywhere that fleece unsuspecting persons out of their hard-earned money with the promise of getting them jobs overseas. Now, if we continue to allow these people to do this and get away, then it is going to be devastating for the poor Jamaicans that want to make the trip abroad. Do not engage with any persons who offer you jobs abroad unless you check with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security first to make sure that they are registered with the employment agencies that the ministry gives sanction to. There are a lot of people on the road walking with briefcase and dark glasses, offering you opportunities and charging you all sorts of money. Tell your brothers and sisters not to accept it. There's one legitimate place that deals with this matter is right here at the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. One place that clears the employment agencies, it is the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, operated by the government of Jamaica. So I just want to warn that this year we'll be stepping up our efforts to police this issue. And those persons that are found in breach, the full weight of the law will indeed fall upon their heads.
What are you doing to help the fight against crime?
Sitting on the corner, minding your own business, definitely not going to work.
It is time for us to unite.
Unite. Unite for change.
Citizens coming together to make their respective communities safer. The police, schools, public health, business, churches, NGOs, parents and neighborhood watch volunteers.
As we, the police, do our job,
we as citizens need to do our part as well.
Report crimes or even suspicious activities.
Let's all work together
as one united front against crime.
And make Jamaica the place of choice to
live, work, raise families, and do business.
Unite for Change, an initiative of the Ministry of National Security.
So we heard about what's being done to catch criminals and bring them to justice. But that's not the end of the story. Much is being done to rehabilitate those behind prison walls. Feast your eyes now on some exquisite works of art, creations from inside the island's correctional centers.
On this week's edition of The Arts Page, we highlight the work of a dedicated group of public servants who are using art and craft to keep Jamaica safe. Yes, we're talking about the men and women of the Department of Corrections. Let's join the festivities. A major part of the work of Jamaica's correctional institutions is providing avenues for self-improvement among the incarcerated. A popular arm of that push has been the use of skills training in art and craft as a rehabilitation tool. And every year during Correctional Services Week, Jamaicans get a chance to see and even buy some of the items produced by persons on the inside.
These activities, expositions are important because they showcase what it is that our wards and our inmates do within our correctional facilities. They show the talent and the potential.
Beautiful paintings, exquisite jewelry, sturdy furniture, delicate clothes, bed linen, and everything for the home. You name it, they had it. And appreciative stakeholders eagerly bought the exceptional products produced by inmates and wards of the state.
I feel great about this. This is the greatest part of my job because I strongly believe in rehabilitation, and this is our output, which is the most important part. When the inmates can see actually what they make, especially where most of these things will start from a class format, so when they can see the end products, it is really rewarding, and most times that's when we get more people involved.
And if you're uncertain about supporting the Made in Jail and Extraordinary brands,
this is the #1 way to fight crime, because if you can get all people that you people class out as criminals involved in these things by supporting them, buying things that's made from the prison instead of things that are imported, I think that's the way to go.
They would have served their time, and so when they come back out, give them a second chance. Create the kind of environment that says, I believe that you can change or you have changed. Family support too. give the support that is necessary.
Not because they're incarcerated, they have various abilities, they can be whatever they want to be.
Until next time, this has been The Arts Page.
There'll be a better tomorrow. 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 There'll be a day. There'll be a way. There'll come a time to sing a brand new song. There'll be a better tomorrow.
That's how we close today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Thanks for spending time with us. We all love our country, cause Jamaica nice, you know. So let's do all we can to work with the police and our community to get rid of the few bad apples that spoil the bunch. While you do that, please continue to send your feedback on our social media platforms. You may also browse our website, jis.gov.jm, and watch this and other shows on our YouTube channel. I am Theodore Henry, reminding you to be wise, stay cool, and take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.